Hey, hello, and welcome to the show. It's me, John Park. It's time for another episode of John Park's Workshop. I am so distracted by the lagged video of me dancing there from the corner of the screen. I have to pause that. There we go. So welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Thanks everyone over in our YouTube chat as well as our Discord. This is the Discord right here. If you were wondering, if you're over on Vimeo, or do we do Vimeo? I don't even know. Where'd that come from? Twitch, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Periscope, LinkedIn Learning, I definitely think we send to those places. And you're wondering where the chat is, that's our Discord, and that's a great place to check out any time of the day, and also particularly during a live stream. You can see right there we have the live broadcast chat channel. If you want to go to the adafruit.it/Discord in your browser, that will get you an instant invite link over to our Vimeo? What? Over to, I don't know why, over to our Discord. And then look for that live broadcast chat channel. That's where we are hanging out during the show. Over in the YouTube, thank you so much. Suat says, I loved your Lucio gun from a couple years ago. I just had that out. Here it is. It came up in conversation, and it's still charged up. Haven't used it in a while. Look, this is actually the one, this is the original one. I also built a second circuit, and the Ruiz brothers printed a new design, or actually the same design in a new color, but I haven't put that one together. But look, if we flip this on right here, it'll boot up and start. Here we go. There's the music. Ba-ba-ba-bam. Ba-ba-ba-bam. If we switch over to other song mode, we get green. Yeah. I'd love to put that second one together. I often get people asking about buying these, but they take 1 billion hours to put together, so they're not very economical to sell. Make me an offer, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to let go of it, but maybe if I make a second one. Yeah, Vimeo is still a thing, right? I think I still find people putting their videos there who want to share a video without all the hoopla associated with the other platform. You can also password link stuff. I see people sharing like short films and things through the Vimeo. But I don't know if they've ever done streaming. Maybe. I don't know. Let me pause I've got yet another. There we go. I have so many little video thumbnails of this stream that pop up and distract me over on the side there. Thank you, Suat. Appreciate it. Hey, Johnny Bergdahl. Hey, Dave Odessa. And Thin Man, Andy Calloway. Johnny Bergdahl back in the other chat, too. Some Nice. Hello. Hello, Tyeth. Trying to use the bot and it wouldn't work earlier. If you type in !showtimes, it will tell you the show times, except for if you're Tyeth for some reason. No idea why. What's going on there? Hey, Toddbot. All right, so what else is up? I have seen the Barbie movie last night. It was fantastic, and it has inspired this week's, or today's rather, coupon code for the show. If you want to get 10% off, you are Kenuff. Just type in Ken, like Ken from Ken and Barbie. Kenuff. That'll get you 10% off in the store. I don't even know if our thing is case sensitive, but I did put it that way, capital K, lowercase enough. And we are all Kenuff, and Kenuff will get you 10% off in the store. That's the store right there. If you go and type in Adafruit.com, you can see we've got a little section there of new products, featured products, some special call-outs and banners and whatnot. If you click on the products link, you can go find the categories there. You can do view all on new products. Some neat new stuff on the way, too. I got to pick up one of these. Don't buy them all. Leave me one or two. I want to get this PC joystick to Seesaw I2C adapter. We usually do about 50 in the first batch, 50 to 100 in the first batch of something, so they can sell out quickly, and then we'll reorder and make many, many more, usually more like 200 of them or so. But we've also got this Metro MP 2040 coming, Metro RP 2040 rather, the ESP32S3 Metro as well. It's a banner time for the Metro boards. They're coming in strong with these new Metro boards. Super cool. That's Arduino form factor, Arduino Uno form factor. If you're not familiar with those will use all the shields and things. And in fact, I think Lamore is working on a shield. If you check out on our YouTube, you'll see the Desk of Lady Ada videos. She was working on a little location finder, non-GPS shield form factor that'll fit on top of the Metros or Arduinos. You can also head on over to the Learn guides. If you go up to the top and click Learn, you can go and find guides. You can even click the roll of the dice right up here, which is pink, appropriately for our Barbie theme here. And that will pick a random guide, in this case the Reindeer Mask with Animated Eyes by Dana Wall, super cool. And then you can go and find some products there that are listed in the project build, throw them in your cart, and get 10% off with this coupon code. So that's the coupon code today, Kenuff. It is good until midnight, East Coast, United States time tonight. Throw them in there. Throw a bunch in there and get yourself a discount, 10% off with Kenuff. That's today's coupon code. Let's see, staying hydrated. Evil Dave of Canada said, I was just wondering how hard it would be to build a 100% keyboard using CAN bus. Oh, wow, that's a great question. I honestly have not used CAN bus at all. I gotta get on that CAN bus and try out some stuff. So you're talking about a 100%, so like 101 key keyboard. Like, do I have any? I don't even have. Here's one, buried under some stuff. Here's an Apple one. Yeah, that's a 101 keyboard, but it's a little laptop style keys there. 101-ish keys is the 100%, and you want to use CAN bus to send that data. I don't see why not. It's just a matter of, do you have a matrix you can scan and read onto one and then send that data over? I'm interested to hear more. What are you up to, Evil Dave of Canada? Is it evil? 104 keys, thank you, yeah, 104 keys on the 100%. Johnny Bergdahl over in the chat has a USB LED light test kit that uses little pink lights. Ooh, pretty. Very cool. What else is happening here? The show I do on Tuesdays, you may be familiar with that. That's that. JP's product pick of the week. On that, I like to take a new product, or sometimes an old but good product, oldie but goodie. Show it off, give you a little bit of a demo, give you a big discount, 50% off typically if it's an Adafruit product. And then I'll make a little 1-minute excerpt. This was this week's right here, this I2S amplifier for the CircuitPy and Zhao boards. And here's a little excerpt, check it out. It is the I2S Amplifier BFF. Here you can see I have the I2S Amplifier BFF soldered to the back side of a CircuitPy RP2040. And then I've just plugged in one of these nice little speakers that have the Pico Blade connectors. So you can pull that right off depending on how your setup is meant to be put together. This is playing 3 wave files that I have actually all playing at the same time, and then I'm just changing their output levels in the mixer, in audio mixer. All happening inside of CircuitPython, and they're just looping sounds. And you can see this will work really well for projects that are maybe small props, little enclosures, costume things, sound players, toys, little synthesizers, and the like. So really nice, easy, basically plug and play. It is the I2S Amplifier BFF for CircuitPy and Zhao. Yes, it is. So that was the product pick yesterday. Yesterday, or Tuesday rather, I will have a brand new product pick coming up on next Tuesday. So be sure to come back by and tune in if you want to see what's what and get yourself a discount. Let's see. What else have I got going on here? This is probably a good time to do a CircuitPython parsec, so let me get set up for that, and here we go. Nope, wrong button. All right, for the CircuitPython parsec today, I wanted to show you how to use the Circuit Playground library inside of CircuitPython to read the accelerometer on either a Circuit Playground Classic, on either a Circuit Playground Express or a Circuit Playground Bluefruit board. So here you can see I have a Circuit Playground Bluefruit, and it is inside of one of these nice little snap fit cases. And what I want to show you is how you can read the accelerometer and then use it for something, in this case just to change the color of the neopixels. So you can see over here in my, let me reset this so that it's in the right order and active. There we go. So you can see here I am using Mu Editor to check out the serial output of this board, and I am mapping the accelerometer to both the color on the board itself of these LEDs, as well as the, I think I've got a loose connection here. Hold on, let's see if I can get this to be stable. Plotter. All right, you're gonna stay nice. All right, I'm gonna hold that cable in there. It might be a loose cable. So you can see here I have the accelerometer values that are coming from the board's built-on accelerometer, and they are being mapped over serial to this graph as well as this serial text output. So you can see here if I rotate the board right and left, I am changing the color from blue to basically red, kind of a pinkish into red here. And if I pitch this up or down, I'm changing the color to green. The way this works in the Circuit Playground library is really simple. All I need to do is import from Adafruit Circuit Playground the CP, Circuit Playground library, and then in the main loop here, I can grab the cp.acceleration values as x, y, and z variables, just to make it easy to work with. And then I am casting those from only a positive value. I don't want any of the negative values, even though we'll go basically -9 to +9 with the Earth's gravity, or 9.8. But I'm taking those and just saying, okay, we'll call that basically 0 to 9 and 0 to 9. And then I'm using those to adjust the RGB values in my NeoPixel ring. So this is a really easy way that you can use, oh, let me fix that. Yeah, it doesn't like this. I think this cable made it unhappy. All right, it's awake again. Let me reset this. Here we go. And so this is a really easy way that you can use the onboard accelerometer on your Circuit Playground Bluefruit or Circuit Playground Express inside of CircuitPython using the Circuit Playground library. And that is your CircuitPython parsec. Whew, so many troubles with that USB cable. I think it might be time to retire that one. I'll put a little label on that and check that later. Question actually, does anyone have a USB cable tester they particularly like? I think it may be time. Time to test some of my many cables and toss them out. What was the one Johnny Bergdahl was showing? Is that a USB light? Is that for testing lights? Is that for testing USB? What are you testing there? I'm curious to know. All right, so, I've really made Moo Editor angry there. Let me move that out of there. So, by the way, you'll often see with the accelerometers on these, we can use them to sort of tell, infer the rotation of something. Actually, it's a set of 3 linear reads, so it's just the gravity happens to be pulling on it. Out in space, we kind of be getting 0 readings on these things until we hit them and got a little inertia. But we have 3 axes that it can tell, essentially, that it's being pulled on in a positive or a negative a certain amount. So you can move them. I think we can get 3G readings on this by default. With that library, I think this chip will do ranges from like 3, 6, and 9Gs, something like that. So very useful, but it means that while you can do roll and you can do pitch with them, you can't do yaw. This z-axis on these will just tell you if you're kind of getting into free fall or getting gravity's control back on those. A gyroscope is what you want for real rotational, and then you can use synthesis of accelerometer and gyroscope to get much better type of rotational awareness of an object in space. So just to clarify that, because sometimes that's confusing. All right, thank you. Johnny Bergdahl posted over in the Discord, I had asked about the LED USB analog controller. It's an LED controller for 5-volt USB lights. Oh, that's interesting. Are you guys familiar, by the way? We don't talk about these often enough, I think. The Thingum, let me show you these. These are something Toddbot works on, is the Thingum Blinkum, or Blink 1. Speaking of USB, Blim 1. Speaking of USB LEDs, you can check these out. I should bring one on for a demo sometime. These are really cool RGB LEDs that are plugged directly into a USB port and then can be controlled with a bunch of different APIs to indicate things and do things. So I'm not sure what 5-volt USB lights you're looking at there, Johnny Bergdahl. I don't know a lot about that space, but those are the ones I know. Very cool ones from Toddbot. Let's see what else. P. Curry in a hurry, you can take those accelerometer values and use them as ratios to do FM synthesis. Oh yeah, I had never thought about that. That would be a wild ride of FM synthesis right there. Okay, so next up what I wanted to do, I kind of wanted to do 2 things. One, I wanted to show you where I'm at. I sort of teased this a little bit yesterday on the show and tell with the Ambient machine build. So this guy right here, I'm pretty close to completion with it. I'm going to tidy up some of the wood I'm using here to kind of press fit this thing together just to make it look a little neater. But I've made quite a few strides with this, both hardware and software, since the last we met about this, and even since the show last night, I added this yellow facade on here. And I also want to show, if we have time and interest, I was going to show one of the modules I use to generate sounds on this. And I'll demo sounds. I'll show you some of the changes I have to it. So first thing I'll do, actually, I'm going to plug it in right here, and let me adjust our... Hey, Katney. Katney just showed up in the chat. Dino seems to be up for everyone but Tyeth, is the thing. Tyeth tried using it, and it just ignored him. So I don't know why. I don't know if it was a user privileges thing that is going on there. I'm not sure. But let's see. I'm just going to adjust a camera angle here. And I'll set up a... Oh, that's a funny angle I've got. Here we go. Let's adjust some focus and exposure. Looks pretty good. And what I'll do is also set up this microphone back here so you can actually hear it. Let's do... Microphone up. Give this some power. That's a good one to test on. And let's see. Okay, let me know if you can hear that pretty well along with voice. I'll give that a second. Hey, weird, yeah. Only some people can type showtimes in. Bizarre. All right, maybe I can get fixed. Okay, so looks like from the VU meter, it's not super loud. Let me see if I can sneak this microphone in a little closer. It's a mid-level. Okay. Yeah, so that'll be okay as I add in more sound. So what I've got going on now, this is a change. I now have the top row is one set of sounds, and this third row is a second set of sounds. So I've got 5 sounds I can turn on here, 5 sounds I can turn on here, and then the switch below each sound is a level switch that'll go from a sort of a low to a high volume. So let's do one that's constant. Okay, so this is kind of a white noise. Well, that one doesn't sound like it's working at all. Let's try a different one. There we go. Oh, you know what? I think some of these states were... Just gonna reset them all. This might be not the final version of the code, or I have some polling of those switches I need to do. Okay, so on, lower volume, higher volume. On, lower, higher. Oh yeah, Something funky's going on. All right, I got to look at it. And I can mix and match those. I don't have to do just one at a time, so we can. First of all, just at what these sounds are. Oh yeah, totally. I've absolutely wrecked something. This is not behaving well. That, or I've somehow unplugged the set of switches on. Yeah, okay. That's not supposed to happen. I've wrecked something in code. None of these should just come on when I change their volume switch, so I've got to go back. We'll look at that in a second. But here's what I've got. The first one, you can't see me flip this on. This is like this little particles kind of sound. This one, I think I called it birds, but it's sort of like a echoey space transmission noise. This is like a bowing sound. This one's kind of like a mallet. Like a string getting hit. And this is that kind of ocean and wind type of sound. Then the new set, since last week, this one I call bees. This one's like a angrier radio transmission. Yeah, Andy Calloway says you need a kill switch. Kill them all. This one I think I called warps. Is called rings, and any of you who are used to my shenanigans with mutable instruments Eurorack modules will notice that I got lazy and named some of these after sounds produced on a particular module, like that one. This one's just sort of a held note, so you can kind of mix and match some of these pitched ones. So kill switch should be, and I guess it worked in that case, just everything off will work. So we'll come back to, I'll show you just one example of making one of those sounds and a single module I used to make it. But before I do that, let's take a look at code here. So I'm gonna, let's see, I may need to add one window here. Let's do Sublime Text. Yeah, I gotta add you. Let's see. New. Oh, you know what? Yeah, we can just switch it right here. Say goodbye to Moo and hello to Sublime Text. There we go. Actually, that showed up. Okay, so this is the current code, and if anyone sees the error in why I seemed to be turning on sounds when I changed the volume, and now it's not happening. That's strange. I don't know why. Why is it working now? So here's the code. You can see here I'm using these MCP 23017 breakout boards. I'll show you them briefly here. MCP 23 to do my switch reads, and these will do up to 16. I have 2 of them in there, so we could go bigger, but I'm just reading 10 switches with the 2 of those. Those are over I2C, and those give me my switch reads, and then the switches, I'm bringing them all together under a single list here, created as the pins, and this kind of goofy pin order is just how I had them arranged and plugged in the wiring there. These could be adjusted depending on your physical location of the buttons, which ones are wired where. So I'm grabbing this row off of these first 2 rows off of the first MCP expander, and then the second row off of this second one here. Add those all up, and we got 20 switches that are together. I'm using this thing right now. This switch states is how I'm doing the logic of that presumably works. It wasn't working, now it seems to be working. This will change the level. I'm using mixer, audio mixer. This will change the level of the sound voice number, so in this case voice 5, above it if it's on. If it's off, then it shouldn't change anything, which is correct. It's working. Don't know what wasn't working before. So I'm using this. Initially, just set them all to false. What I may do is have these check all the states on startup so that we don't have to toggle things to get everything in sync physically with that list, which would probably make a good idea. Next up, I create a wave files list, which is based on reading this directory here. I do think I have some assumptions, or I should add some error correcting. In case you don't put 10 samples in there, then your code's going to crash when you flip the 10th button. I think I have that right now hard-coded, this range 10. I should probably make this a little smarter so that it'll deal with, in case you don't have a full array of wave files in there. You need 10. So this, however, right here is my setup for the I2S amplifier we're using. This is how I'm doing audio I/O over the I2S on the pins that we've selected. And then we set up the mixer to use those 10 voices that it can then, just like a big fader mixer in a recording studio, we can fade those levels from 0 up to, I think, 0.4 at full volume and down to 0.2 at mid volume. And all of that could be raised too. I just found these numbers here, which I should probably make variables for to work pretty well. You probably will start to get some crunchy over driving of the speaker if you have all 10 of them at full volume. So that's one of the reasons that I'm not going up to full volume on them. This seems okay though. We can throw these on. I don't really hear any distortion. That's at the lower volume. This is full volume. Still sounds okay though. No big problems there. So then this is the kind of big logic puzzle party here of the switches. So you can see what I do is I check all the switches they're using to bouncer. For the first 5 of them, that's this if I is less than 5. If a switch falls just because of the pull up, pull down, it's pull down resistor, that is actually it falling. So when it falls, that's the on state. So when that falls, goes on, we check the next switch, which is the current switch plus 5. So I, in this case, is 0, I plus 5, so that's switch 5. If that is on when the switch goes on, then we're at the higher volume. If that's off when this goes on, we're at the lower volume. So the next row we're checking is if it's I is basically greater than 4 and less than 10, which, by the way, I was not using this syntax, but our pylint yelled at me and said it wanted this to be, I forget the error it gave, but it didn't. I had elif I is greater than 4 and I is less than 10, and it actually wanted this, I think, more Pythonic thing here. P. Curry in a Hurry just wrote, John, if elif 4, what's going on with that? I'm not sure. So elif 4 less than I and I is less than 10 is this row here. And maybe you're pointing out some error I have, which is why things were acting weird. But in any case, if these are flipped, we check the switch that it relates to. So we say, okay, we just switch 5 here. When that happens, let's first check to see what's the state of this guy here, in this case, switch 0. So if this is on, then we'll raise the volume. Did I forget to lower it? No. If it's, yeah, then same thing. When this goes off, we again check this guy to see what his state is. P. Curry, you say, I think that's your bug. Where's my bug? I is greater than 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so I is greater than 4 is that switch there, right? Bert Clays over in YouTube asks, what's the sound module you're using? I'll show you right here. It is the I2S amplifier breakout. So the Metro M7 is the board. Right there. And so it is using digital audio output pins, I2S pins, which are then being interpreted by this and converted to drive the speaker. Speaker I have on here is this guy, the 3-inch 4-ohm 3-watt speaker. That's what's in the back there. And we'll take this apart and I'll show you that in a second. So let's go back to the code here. The next row here is this elif. Basically, if I is bigger than 9 and less than 15, that's row 3. And this one is just the second set of wave files. So the syntax is a little gross here because we're saying, okay, if one of these is flipped on, we check the volume level by looking at this little row below it and do the appropriate volume level. And the mixer voice that we're playing, since this is the third row of switches, but it's actually the second row of sounds because I only have 10 sounds. So this one has to have 5 subtracted from I to grab sound number 5, even though this is switch number 14, or rather, sorry, switch 9 in this case. But otherwise, these two clumps basically are identical. So this is my second row of switches for sound, and my second row of switches for volume. This is my first row of switches for sound, first row of switches for volume. C. Grover says, using the debouncer seems like overkill, creates a need for the initial switch state scan. Ah, okay, interesting. That could be something to simplify there. And, you know, sometimes I debate how much to clean or optimize. Like, I don't want the code to be terrible. which is already a struggle because I'm not much of a coder, but I don't want it to be too optimized because it's meant for learning in a lot of cases. So for the Learn Guide, even though this probably could be way condensed into something much shorter and cleverer, I also don't want to obfuscate too much what is actually going on. Actually, even in the case of how I construct these, I used to have a much longer list of things that sort of spelled it out a little better, but it was a lot of code. So in this case, I made this a little more succinct, but in this case, it's a little verbose, but hopefully clear to people. All right, so that's what's going on in the code. Let me know, again, if you have thoughts or questions. Bert asks, do you have that already on the GitHub? Yeah, so if you look in our Learn Guides, I'll go there just so you can see. So if you go to the github.com/Adafruit, you can often find, because we update these so much, you'll often find just scrolling in the first page of repositories, you'll see this Adafruit Learning System Guides. You can also search for it. And then within this one was very recently, I think it's the most recent pull, so you could look in some of the history stuff, or if you just want to search for Ambient machine, there it is. So in here I've got the samples that I built that I made, recorded. So those are our 10 samples. Does this play them? Can you play them from the browser? Nope. But download the zip for this, or download the files for those. I'm writing a Learn Guide right now, so that'll be available as a chunk that you can download using our project bundle. And then here's the code. So if I find what's going on there with the state, I'll be updating this and maybe get rid of the debounce too to make it a little cleaner. So hopefully that answers your question there. And then let's, while I've got it right here, with this camera, I'll show you. Here's what it looks like from the back. By the way, I just glued these on and didn't clamp them very well and didn't prep it well, so you can see we just popped off a horribly glued leg there. I'll just rest it on there. These are just pieces of poplar that I got at the hardware store. Yeah, it doesn't really want to rest on there, so I should probably consider a fastener on that, or just at least glue it better. But I added to here a little, actually not so little, USB-C panel mount port, so I can plug into here. And then on the inside, I'll bring this over to the workbench, I've got a little DIY USB, one of our DIY USB cables, little ribbon cables that makes things nice and small, plugged into that on the Metro. So let's jump over to the workbench here, and go to that view there. And then just bring up my Discord. There we go. So, by the way, I think I've showed this before. One of the tricks in working on this, since we don't want to really try to rest that on the workbench, is I'm just using one of the other of the 3 small-sized drawers that came in the IKEA Moppe. Where'd he go? The whole thing is over there, but the drawer set, just use that to rest this on. My switches all fit within the small box, small drawer, because that's what the backside here is. So right now I just am press fitting some more of that poplar. This is actually what I used for these feet. Get that view in there a little better. This is the material I use for the feet, and I'm just sandwiching that, and then I had a little piece of like 1/8 inch ply in there to shim it. So I'll probably clean that up with a little laser cut piece just to make it pretty. That'll bridge that better, but I just am resting it. That gives me the clearance for those switches so that this box rests there nicely. One side note, I was considering staining this, but honestly, I never like the way Baltic birch plywood stains. It just, maybe I need to be sanding it better before I apply, but this is a light walnut stain on there, and I just don't really love the way it ends up coming out. I think it paints maybe a little better, or like a light paint wash might work, but I think I'm just going to leave it natural for this application here. So this just pulls out pretty easily here. And I have no mounting right now, but it kind of isn't necessary. The USB there, you can see, connects my panel mount USB to the Metro, so I can unplug that just like so. So you could use a small flexible USB-C cable. This is the best way I've got to do that, and that is with these little, we call them the DIY USB cables. And that's a little set of 2 of those connectors and one of the maybe 200 millimeter flat ribbon cables. Thank you. Yeah, DJ Devon3 says you like the styled feet. So these are mimicking the original Yuri Suzuki rather design, which had this sort of mid-century modern radio or TV sort of look to it. So that's why I went with that. But yes, a screw-in foot would be great. Someone had mentioned a PV amp. Yeah, PV cabinet. DJ Devon3 mentioned PV cabinet. Kind of rubber foot with a screw would be great. So this speaker wire I have screwed into the amplifier right there. You can see this is in a state right now still of experimentation, because we want to see, we still want to test SD card stuff. I'm not ready to yank the SD card. I'm not using it right now, but it is still connected, and just with jumper cables, these nice jumper cables here. Eventually, I'll probably put a screw terminal feather wing or a perma-proto type of, or a prototype of feather wing on there, and solder the wires, just make everything shorter, neater. It'll all fit better. But you can see I've got it on one of these swirly grids, I think we're calling them here. Amplifier, SD card reader, Metro M7, and then here's the 2 of these. Zoom in here a little bit. Here's the 2 of these expanders, GPIO expanders, that I can read the switches. So what I did there is I actually took our some of our arcade cabinet button cables, which have a JST connector or a Molex, I forget which connector on one end, and a little spade lug on the other. I cut the JST connectors and soldered the wires directly to my expander boards, but then the switches are all just pressed in with these little crimp connectors, lug connectors that can go right onto the lugs on the bottom of the switch, and that makes it a lot easier to pull it apart, rearrange things if you need to, versus soldering them. So I think those will stay fine. This thing isn't getting shaken around. This can probably at some point get a little bit of a mounting tab set up on my speaker here, so that when I press it in, it'll all go in nicely and get held there with some standoffs or something like that. So let's see. I think that's that, though. You can see there's the little 4 ohm 3 watt speaker, I just have some, what are these, M3 or M2.5, I forget. Looks like M2.5 screws holding them in my little speaker grill there. Again, look up the Ambient machine by Yuri Suzuki. That's the design. This is just a total DIY ripoff of it. Nowhere near as nice, but you can make it yourself. His were a really limited edition in some art galleries, so they're not cheap. So I think that covers where we're at with it. Pretty easy to reassemble, so I'll do that now just so that I can work on the code later. I'll just plug in my USB like that. And fit this back on. I'm going to put that together like so. Got something in the way. There we go. And then back in like that, and I'll just leave that there as a shim for now. There we go. And at some angles, you can forget that I knocked that little foot off of there too. So the last thing I wanted to do is just show one of the sound files, how I made it, or at least sort of how I made it. This is going to require some setup. Let me double check the chat. So Bert asks, is the yellow front acrylic? No, it's a piece of cardstock. So the thing is, here's an example. So that's just a piece of cardstock I cut to fit the groove. There's a little groove that was pre-made. So this is this Moppe drawer set from IKEA. So I wanted to make this project so that people could just go and get one of these, build the project, and even have some storage left over or some project cases for other stuff. This is not going to come apart, I don't think. This is these finger grooves that are glued together. I doubt you could knock that apart without doing quite a bit of damage. So this base isn't really coming out of here, but there is enough give there that you can slide a piece of properly cut cardstock or maybe a thin plastic or something in there. You don't have a lot of room, maybe a 32nd of an inch or something like that. So just use cardstock. You could potentially mask this and paint the bottom. That would probably look nice. It is like a MDF chipboard kind of stuff for the bottom of the drawer, so that's going to absorb a lot of paint. So you'll probably want to put a good primer on that and then paint that up. But I thought for this low-end version, a piece of cardstock worked pretty well. And so I just cut it. I used the laser cutter. You could do it with a hole punch, or since you're putting the nuts over it, you might get away with just carefully cutting with an X-Acto. And then the holes are drilled. I'll include a little template that you can print out for all those switches that go there. But yeah, you can see, here's this one up close. You can see I've just got paper shoved up in there. Pretty good, not great, but pretty good. All right, so to talk about sound files, I'll just need to add, I'm going to open up VCV Rack and share a window of it. I didn't set this up. And let's add a screen capture. Boop. Turn that into a window. Sometimes this program likes to get laggy while I'm also streaming, so we'll see We'll see how we do. Let me actually make that pretty big and push that over like that. And I'm gonna do a little mic setup thing here. With an amplifier. And actually, okay. Hey. So let me know how that level is. You remember this one I showed a couple weeks ago of just sort of a randomized melody, and I didn't end up going with this type of approach for the ambient sounds. I just wanted them to be looping sounds, not quite as much of a musical melody line type of thing. But what I can do is blow away some of these guys here, and I'll show you the one I used for a couple of the sounds on the ambient machine. They are the bow and mallet. Are this module right here, which is basically the Mutable Instruments Elements is its name, which is a physical modeling module. So particularly, you can see up here, it does well with bowing, blowing resonance, and striking like a mallet. So bow would be like a string type of effect, but it's all physical modeling of these types of sounds. So if we control up at the top here, I didn't bother mixing. I kind of went pure. Let's do a strike sound. So I've got a full mix of strike sound, and then usually you would send a pulse, a gate signal or trigger signal, to tell this thing to either model like someone's blowing over a bottle or into an instrument, bowing like you're moving a bow across some strings, or striking like you're hitting something with a mallet. But you can also play it just by tapping this play button, which is really nice. And Tyeth asks, what does physical modeling of these sounds mean? What it means is that this is not samples of sounds, but is synthesized from mathematical algorithms that are representations of how these physical phenomena really work, which gives you a lot of control. Yeah, it's like an algorithmic representation of a physical thing or effect. That's exactly, very well put, yeah. So I can just hit that and get a sound, and then I can go and tweak something. That's actually what I did in the real world, because I have this real module, and it's easy to press one button while turning another. On the computer, that's terrible, actually. This is one of the biggest downsides of using a simulation of these types of modules, is you kind of want touch, which you can do with some. You can use like a touch computer or version of this on a touchpad. But that said, I'm just going to add something to ping that. So let's do let's see, do I have topograph? Yeah, sure. So this module here is like a Mutable Instruments grids, and I can say, let's send a trigger signal to, let's see, how does this one run? Remind me, how do I tell you to run? There we go. Okay. Okay, so now I've just got a sort of rhythmic, not so rhythmic that it drives us crazy, pinging. So right now I can adjust the type of mallet hit, which covers a lot of ground. It's not all just one continuous thing. Some of it sort of changes the material you're using. Some of it changes the type of mallet hit. So here we get kind of like a double flam kind of hit. And you can see these are kind of color-coded, so I'm using just this strike stuff, so these blue, teal-ish, cyanish, whatever color that is, are related. So here I can change the striking timbre. DJ Devon 3, you said about 2x your voice level. Are you saying that the sounds are too loud? Output's very loud, yeah, okay. Let me adjust that. There we go, that looks like it's closer. Thank you. So here I can adjust the striking timbre. And then these are a lot of the sort of resonator, almost like the effects side of it. So we're instigating things with this left half, and then we're doing stuff with that sound on the right half. So here we can change, the geometry tends to be how close to one end of an object that's being hit. Closer or further from the resonating end. Brightness does what it sounds like. Damping allows us to let the thing ring out or have a very tight bunk, bunk. Oh, actually, no, this is the position one. Sorry. And I don't understand the math behind any of these. I'm just moving dials really until I like what it sounds like. And then this one kind of has a reverb on the end called space. And then all of it can be pitched. So if you take that whole system of something you're hitting with a mallet, it can be tuned or pitched. Both with a rough and a fine tuning. And you can also add FM modulation to it, and this will attenuate that amount of modulation if you're sending pitch from some other module. But that's essentially how I created the mallet strike sound that's in there, and then I went and used the exact same module, just kind of reset everything, initialized it, and did a bowed sound. But it doesn't like me. I think it just crashed. This is a bit of a touchy module on here. I don't know if it'll. Oh no! All right. Am I wrong? Yeah, I think it's crashed. Yeah, sometimes it'll do this. If we restart the program, it'll allow these other two models to work. But right now, it's like, oh, I only know what to do with the strike model. I don't know what that is about. But it's free, open source. You could probably go in and poke around. Based on free open source mutable instruments modules, these ones I'm using, and VCV Rack itself, the kind of program this is all running in, is also open source. So it'd be great if anyone wanted to take a look at that. But that is at least a look at how I started crafting some of the sounds. I use a lot of these modules to make the sounds that are running on it. All right, let's see. Evil Dave of Canada said, "What was the cowbell wave file?" That you may have asked that question before I just did that segment. Sorry, but yeah, it was based on me modeling those sounds in the Mutable Instruments Elements module. All right. Then I think we are good. I think that's it. So before I go, I'll remind you, go see the Barbie movie. I don't make any money from that, but go to the movies. It's great that people are going to the movies again. I saw it, and it inspired me to have today's coupon code be KENOUGH, KENOUGH, because Ken is enough. He loves himself again. KENOUGH, that will get you 10% off in the store. Head on over to adafruit.com. It looks not like that. That's our GitHub. It looks like this. Go find some stuff. Go get yourself a speaker. It'll cost 19.5 cents less if you buy it with that coupon code, but you can get a whole lot more. And also, if you go to adafruit.com/free, you can see what freebies are available. Right now we have these two, and they stack. So if you place an order of $149 or more, you'll get a free KB2040 board. If you place an order of $299 or more, you'll get the free KB2040, and you'll also get a Circuit Playground Express. And any of those examples that I've been doing on the CircuitPython parsec that are Circuit Playground library based, those will all work on this board, the Circuit Playground Express and the Circuit Playground Bluefruit. Not on the Classic. That one is an older chip. I think it's 32U4, and that will not run the CircuitPython. So this one will, though. So go to the store and get yourself 10% off. Buy some cool, fun stuff. And if you want to build a project like this one here, I'm working on a guide for it right now. So I'll clean up my code, figure out what gremlins I had in there earlier. Thank you for the suggestions, and keep them coming. I'll try to pull out some of the complication and get rid of debouncer since I don't need it. Let me know. But yeah, that's an M7 in there, an I2S amplifier, and the expander breakouts, bunch of switches. So there'll be a learn guide coming soon if you want to build an ambient machine like that. All right. Thanks, everyone, for stopping by, and I will see you next week. I got Product Pick of the Week again on Tuesday. In the meantime, Scott should be doing a deep dive tomorrow. It might be a short one. He wasn't sure, but it might be standard length. He's got a trip planned. And then I believe check out Foamy Guy on his channel on Saturday. Then come on back around next week for all the great shows that we have, including 3D Hangouts on Wednesday and the Show and Tell and Ask an Engineer later that evening. So that is it for Adafruit Industries. I'm John Park. This has been John Park's Workshop. I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Bong, bong.
Thank you.